Welcome to the SEO.co Search Engine Optimization Podcast. Digital marketing essentials and next-level tactics. From off-site and on-site optimization to persuasive selling and everything in between. You'll learn actionable tips on what it takes to outright and outrank your competition.
Welcome back to another episode of the SEO.co podcast. Today we're wrapping up the series Google Page Experience, why Google Page Experience matters for SEO and how to improve it. The value of user experience is important to discuss, so let's take a moment to talk about user experience or UX. Google Page Experience is basically Google's way of incorporating UX evaluations into its search ranking algorithm. It wants to intentionally rank web pages higher if they provide high-quality UX. But good UX design is going to benefit you no matter what, even if you're not optimizing it specifically for search engines. With better UX design, your visitors will be happier, they'll spend more time on your website, and they'll be more likely to buy from you. Incidentally, you'll see a lower bounce rate and a higher dwell time, factors that have been influencing your rankings for years. UX has measurable qualities, but it's largely a subjective factor. Good UX in SEO is all about making your visitors feel good while navigating your website. Google is all about attempting to apply a precise series of evaluations to ensure this, but there are steps you can take beyond adhering to those requirements to boost the UX of your site. According to Peter Morville, a good user experience is encapsulated by a honeycomb of factors, at the center of which is perceived value of a site. These factors include usability. How easy is it to learn how to use your site and navigate it? Usefulness. Do people find utility in the type of content you provide and how you provide it? Desirability. Do people genuinely want what you have to offer? Findability. Is it easy for people to find what they're looking for and search your site quickly? Credibility. Are you perceived as a credible authority on your chosen subject matter? And accessibility. Can users access this site from any device and any browser? If you design and improve your website with these factors in mind, you'll provide a better experience for your users and, in the process, likely comply with Google's latest recommendations for webmasters. Let's move into the 7 core ranking signals of the new Google Page Experience. While there are some nuances to Google's latest planned updates, we're familiar with the 7 core ranking signals, the first 3 of which are considered core web vitals. Number 1, largest contentful paint, or LCP. LCP is a measurement of how long it takes for a web page to load its most meaningful content. Ideally, your website will load its content in 2.5 seconds or less. If it takes more than 4 seconds, you're in need of some major changes. Number 2, cumulative layout shift, or CLS. CLS measures the prevalence and intensity of unexpected shifts in your web content, such as when a block of text suddenly teleports downward as you're reading. These shifts interfere with user experience for obvious reasons. It's measured as a multiplicative of the impact fraction, a measure of how much content is shifted, and the distance fraction, a measure of how far it's shifted. You should be aiming for a CLS of 0.1 or less. A CLS of more than 0.25 is problematic. Number 3, first input delay, or FID. FID is a measure of how long it takes a web page to respond to a user input. You should aim for a measurement of less than 100 milliseconds. FID of higher than 300 milliseconds is a potential issue. Number 4, mobile friendliness. Mobile friendliness has long been a ranking signal. Pages that load quickly on mobile devices with full content and easy readability are valued higher than pages that get distorted or don't load properly on mobile. Number 5, HTTPS. An SSL certificate is all it takes to upgrade the security of your site. Google preferentially ranks sites with HTTPS over those with unsecured HTTP. Number 6, safe browsing. Your web users should be safe from fraud and privacy violations when browsing your website. Google Safe Browsing Evaluation can help you learn more about this area. Number 7, no intrusive interstitials. Intrusive interstitials are pieces of content or entire pages that forcibly load and distract a user from their main motivation when interacting with your site. They could be annoying pop-ups, surprising intermediary pages, or something similar. If they're considered a nuisance or a distraction, they'll detract from a positive UX. So, do you want to make sure that you're in full compliance with Google's new page experience standards? Well, your best bet is to take a phased approach. Phase 1, review Google Page Experience core ranking signals. First, you'll want to spend some time reviewing the basic tenets of Google Page Experience and the core ranking signals that will boost you to a better place in the SERPs. Fortunately, we've already covered a lot of ground that you need to review here, so you're already in pretty good shape. Phase 2. Identify the problem pages of your site. Next, you'll want to use Google's tools and your own reasoning to identify the pages of your website that are problematic. You'll want to measure their objective performance, including metrics like FID and CLS, as well as more qualitative aspects like mobile friendliness. Come up with a list of pages that need attention and improvements that could set them up for success. Phase 3. Apply fixes. There are hundreds of small changes you could make to improve the UX of your website, from installing a better caching plugin to removing unused JavaScript. It's hard to make a broad, universal recommendation for how to adjust your site since every webmaster will face some unique challenges. That said, if you can figure out which pages need attention and why they need attention, it should be obvious which fixes you need and how to best apply them. Phase 4. Collect user feedback. After making some initial changes, it's worth gathering some user feedback. How do people feel when using your site? Do they find any of your content distracting or unpleasant? Do users with different devices or different browsers have very different experiences? While Google's metrics provide tidy objective benchmarks you can use to evaluate your core page performance, qualitative user experience still matters, even if it doesn't boost your SERP rankings directly. It will improve your reputation, visitor behavior, and more. Phase 5. Commit to ongoing improvements. You might feel motivated to make a sweeping round of changes to your website in anticipation of Google page experience, and that's a good thing. But a single major batch of improvements isn't going to be enough to help your site grow and improve in rankings. For that, you'll need to commit to an ongoing series of improvements over the next several months and years, and keep up with the latest SEO news in case Google changes things further or adds new core web vitals. And that's all we've got for this episode and series. Thanks again for listening to the SEO.co podcast. We'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you for joining us on the SEO.co podcast. We appreciate your time. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the show and visit SEO.co for more resources based on today's topic, as well as access to more podcast episodes to help you improve your site's long-term SEO success.